back when Greenspan was chairman of the Federal Reserve, I mean, he was probably the brightest and most eloquent of Federal Reserve chairmen that we've had. And their strategy, at least in my opinion, was to always stay about a half point too tight and keep the training wheels on the bike and make sure that everything was okay. But you're right. You're right. This might be a situation if you could foreshadow what's coming, even given the uncertainty, especially with tariffs and the sea change in economic policy that we're seeing, and the fact that Trump has changed the energy policy. His policy is drill baby drill, and
massively. And
yeah,
you see a range now between $66 and $68 basically for crude oil.
yeah.
But we
Since
were
the middle
already
of
drilling
January.
more than we ever had in history. We were drilling more than any other nation in the world. We're producing more oil, especially through fracking.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing, and I'm looking out over several refineries in Los Angeles, and I'm hearing from just secondhand from a lot of people that it's problematic for a lot of these gas producers, oil producers rather, to drill that much. They're kind of reticent for it because they have to scale up a lot of what they're doing, and that's
It takes them a
costs
while
money.
to put their
Takes them a
infrastructure.
while. Yeah. So
Yeah,
is it necessary? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just imagine myself, running an oil company or a refinery, and it's like I think there would be, if I were to do the math on it, I think there would be a sweet spot of maybe between $70 and $85 a barrel right now. But yeah, I mean, if oil gets down to $30 a barrel, and that helps the consumer, but is it
It
is it
depends
in the
where
interest of
the
companies to do that?
production's coming from.
Yeah,
It depends where, Saudi Arabia can produce a barrel of oil a lot cheaper than a lot of other places, for
yeah,
True.
example.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is part of the equation. My point with some of this is that if you look at what financial institutions are doing right now, they're clearly betting on a weaker dollar midterm. I mean, the USD cash index is down, since, the beginning of March, and it's not down a little bit. The British pound's at back above 129, the euro's at 108. Those are levels that are much more comfortable than the 103 that the euro was at only a couple months ago. The British pound was at 125 at the beginning of March. So little by little, I think financial institutions, which I trust more than the central banks a lot of the time because they have more business experience and they're looking forward regarding what their clients are going to do. I think they're betting on Mr. Summer being more comfortable over the next few months and people actually starting to chill out. I don't think the central banks are doing that yet. That's a problem, in my opinion.
I think we're going to hit some headwinds as these tariffs start to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
All of it is going to depend on how successful the Trump administration is in negotiating a level playing field on the tariffs. He's certainly threatened to swing the bat, but you know, he's not
Even
going to kill the economy.
even I'm shocked by his level of rhetoric sometimes.
So,
I mean, I'm here for the price of admission, basically, with my ticket, watching the show from afar. But
That's how I'm feeling. I'm here for the popcorn.
yeah, right. Well, that's the way a lot of people think of it. But to let you know, I love it. a lot
Just
of
be
people,
entertained.
yeah. I'm a supporter and a big supporter because there was so much wrong with the way our system is functioning that we needed to brace it, shake the tree a bit, upset what I would call the cabal in D.C. And that is a big statement, but we needed to see a change. I am up in the air about foreign policy and how this is all how all this
oh no,
pan out.
I'm worried about that too. And frankly, making neighbors into temporary enemies or just pissing them off just enough where they can make deals with China and the like. Notice they're not saying a whole lot right now. They're keeping their powder dry and they're quietly looking to make deals. I guarantee it.
who are you talking about, Scott? China?
Talking about China vis-a-vis South America, Central America, Canada, various others, there's opportunities to be made if we create enemies out of former friends, even if it's just temporary.
Yeah, I
There are a
think
lot of ramifications all over the
that's a
place.
really
Look what's
good.
going on with South Africa right now. Look what's going on with Turkey right now, and my little sphere of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those aren't self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff we're doing with tariffs and just pissing off the next door neighbors. These are these are unforced errors.
So, Scott, you make a really good point. I think there could be some fallout from this. But from my travels and communication around the world, I can tell you this: the French and Germany and other countries in Europe have no problem dealing with China or Russia anytime they want, or any of these countries. If they can get a deal done, they'll get it done. We're the ones that draw the line in the sand and seem to have a moral compass to a degree on this, I think. But if you go back to the post-World War II foreign policy doctrine, the nexus of that doctrine is built around preemptive action. So if we see, we went through World War I, we went through World War II, and our doctrine was we're going to get serious about controlling the world and putting down potential despots and keep the big wars from happening. Have the little wars, fight it out. It's going to be an ongoing thing.
Because it's better for business. It keeps trade flowing.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it keeps the world somewhat pacified when you've got somebody walking around with a stick and hitting them when they get out of line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but it's either that or the big war. So I think that's been our foreign policy for a long time. But and this is just me personally. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of America carrying the water and being involved in all these forever wars and patting ourselves on the back and having victory parades after conflicts and things like that. It's like, no, maybe we need to withdraw a little bit, not be an isolationist at all, although that's kind of what it's looking like now. But I don't think that's Trump's objective. I think his objective is to level the playing field in the economic sphere and try to change the policy a bit of us tinkering in everybody's business.
Mm-hmm.
And because we just, at least in my opinion, I don't know. I mean, but at least in my opinion, it seems like we meddle in everyone's affairs. And over the past couple of elections, it looks like they were meddling here at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that's about enough of that. Let's shake it up a bit and see what happens and try to refocus. My fear is, to your point, that we take our foot off the gas. To your point, China comes in, a rising hegemonic power, and we lose control of the whole paradigm. And what does that look like when the dollar is not necessarily the world's reserve currency?
Mm-hmm.
It could change things.
Well, that would change things in a major way.
It would.
I mean, you have to take into consideration basically the agreement the U.S. made with the OPEC nations in the 1970s.
Yeah.
The petrodollar still helps the U.S. basically rule over the world because of the reserve currency in many respects.
Yeah. Back when I was a lot simpler in my thinking as it relates to politics, I'm just trying to work, make a living, build my career, my family, and have a life. You pick a party and you go with it. And whatever they say, you have a lot of faith in them. Like, okay, I'm betting on that horse, one of the two horses that are going to win this race. I'm betting on them. Whatever they say, I'll agree with them and I'll back them. And I'll go to the $1,500 a plate dinners and shake hands and say hello and whatever. And then, get back to work and focus on what's really in front of you and hope that the people that you're backing are doing a good job. But you really start peeling back the layers of the onion as you get older and you see the mistakes and you think, wow, this is a big game. Both of these parties, we're suckers. It's a uniparty for all intents and purposes. There's a big hole in our ship financially, and it's bleeding money, and they're careless with, the largesse in the Treasury and just giving money away and misspending it, misappropriating it. And you get into these wars that don't mean anything to you and me, and they ask us to back it because of this or that, and it's like, no. Well, I mean, I'm not interested. I don't want to do that. And I've come to despise blind patriotic adherence to a party.
Me too.
You know what I mean? We've got to get back to a moral compass, and whatever that morality is. It's like we got to have some rules and principles here. We've got to stick to them and try not to be the bad guys.
And try to get back for both of those parties towards the center, whatever that is.
Yes, exactly.
Because the people on the extremes of both parties are either dumb or crazy or stupid.
It's like there's a mental illness afoot affecting a lot of people, and it's like, wow, this is insanity. So
yeah,
I don't know how we get there, but
This is something that Scott and I have spoken about for months now. You know, we want the adults back in the room.
Yeah.
Robert, you and I have talked about that. We get on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
occasional call,
all
and
the
it's
time.
like, goodness, I just
Yeah.
really like to have some adults